This is going to be a playthrough of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sonic Origins collection, and I'm going to be playing as Amy Rose for a change. Now I did actually do this playthrough a while back. This was actually the first game I streamed on Twitch, but I didn't have my Twitch settings set up correctly, because for some reason Twitch does not automatically save your videos. Weird that it doesn't, no idea why, you have to turn that on, but it doesn't. So I recorded a whole playthrough as Amy and it didn't save, so I've been debating it, but I'm going to do it again because I have a bit of time and I feel like doing it. So we're going to play as Amy, and we're playing as Amy because I was really happy to see her added to Sonic Origins in the Plus expansion, and it's just fun. It's something different for a game I've had for many years. Not actually the first Sonic I played. The first Sonic I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog, but on the Master System. Master System was the first games console I remember having. We had Spectrum and MSX and stuff like that, but the first games console I ever really had was, I believe it was the Sega Master System 2, and mine came with Sonic bundled into it. And I remember at the time I was playing it and I couldn't get the stage select code to work, because it doesn't work in that game, which I didn't realise at the time. But yeah, that made a lasting impression on me. I was a fan of Sonic from pretty much day one because of that, and it was a driving force. I wasn't really that bothered about getting a Mega Drive for the longest time. I was perfectly happy with the Master System. I don't think I even really knew about the Mega Drive, to be honest. You know, I would pick up gaming magazines, but very rarely. And when I remember I did, there was a magazine that was just called Mega, and they had like a 2-page feature on Sonic 2, and I was like, wow, that looks so amazing. We have to get Sonic 2, and I had Sonic 2 on Master System, but to quote Bart Simpson, it just wasn't the same. And I was lucky enough that my parents were somehow able to get the Mega Drive 1 for me and my sister. It was a joint Christmas present, and it came with Sonic 2 and the Terminator 2 arcade light gun game. So I had Sonic 1 on Master System, Sonic 2 on Master System, and then eventually Sonic 2 on Mega Drive. And somewhere in there, I know I got Sonic Chaos for Master System, but I didn't get Sonic 1 for Mega Drive for quite a while. I mean, I say quite a while. Ooh, nice. I say quite a while. It could have been within months of getting the Mega Drive. I don't think it was. I remember it being like a year. Like, I've got a Mega Drive in something like, I want to say 93, maybe 92. And we didn't have the money to sort of spend on games, even though a lot of them were second hand. So it was a big deal to get a game back then, and it kind of still is for me now. Like, I get games second hand now. I don't get them on a whim. And back then, yeah, Sonic 1 I played after 2, so I didn't really have the same kind of nostalgia for it as I did for Sonic 2, mainly because I was so used to playing the Master System version, which I feel like even now is still quite underrated. I think, especially because Sega, in their infinite wisdom, never really re-release the Master System version. They always promote the Game Gear version, which in my view is the very inferior version. Sometimes parts of it are better, but the Master System version is just better overall. I never understood why they always do that. And I think it's because they generally kind of release all the all the Game Gear Sonic games are featured as a bundle, like they are in this. It's like, well, if you're going to feature all these 8-bit Sonic games, it makes sense for them all to be from the same system. So you get Sonic 1, 2, Chaos, Triple Trouble, Spinball, Mean Bean Machine, Labyrinth, all those Game Gear games all together, and you say, oh, included all the Game Gear games. But I'm like, well, just put bloody Master System games on there. I think the last time they really released the Master System games was when they were on the Wii Virtual Console, possibly the 3DS Virtual Console. It's the same kind of thing, really. I don't know if they were on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I don't think anyone does because nobody had a Wii U. But even on Origins, like when they re-released it with the Plus expansion, it's got the Game Gear games on it, which is fine. And I still have my Master System versions, but I'd like to see them properly released. But Sega is Sega, so what are you gonna do? So, so you saw I took that tumble earlier down that infamous collisionless pit. And unlike my first playthrough of this game, where I completely failed to get even one Chaos Emerald, I managed to get 2 here. I will stress, I'm not aiming to get all the Chaos Emeralds. I'm not even expecting that I will. It's not my intention, mainly because I hate the special stages in this game. They are atrocious, and they get difficult later, and I'm not really that bothered. I'm happy to just play and just see what happens. So we'll do that, and the reason we're playing the Origins version, even though I have the Sonic 1, I think it's the Sega Ages version on my Xbox One, is because you get to play as Amy, and I was specifically wanting to do that, not because I'm like a massive Amy fan, I could have just been doing that the whole time, but I felt I was really happy when she was added to Sonic Mania Plus. I felt she should have been in it from the start. It makes perfect sense for her to be there, and it really bugged me when I think I heard people saying that they didn't know how to implement her, which doesn't make any sense to me, because you've got the Sonic Advance games to use as a base, but even they did like weird stuff, like not giving her a spin dash until Sonic Advance 2, and Sonic Advance 3 like nerfed her a bit and said like, oh, she can't jump into a ball and she can't spin dash, which comes from Sonic Adventure, where her gameplay was much more, for lack of a better term, about stealth and taking it slow and everything, which is fine, and I think that makes her quite unique to play as. I quite liked the little hop that she did in Sonic Advance. But at the basic core of the gameplay, just let her spin. Just give her a spin. Like, how hard is it? And they gave her mallet here, which Classic Amy is not massively known to use. I mean, I think she had it in Sonic the Fighters, and she has it in like the comics and stuff, whose continuity is debatable. But it makes sense for her to have like her hammer, because she doesn't really. I think she's got like a little drop dash kind of. Let's have a look. Well, I'm not going to do it here, obviously, on the lava, on the boiling hot magma. Let's have a look. So she's got the. Yeah, she's got like a little mallet twirl. You do like just you hold. Yeah, like that, that's pretty cool. I quite like that. I would say I'm more inclined to use that than the drop dash, but that's not true. I hate the drop dash, to be honest. I've never really liked it. I find the drop dash kind of it interferes with my gameplay, because I like to hold the jump button. I mean, you do have to, well, I'll say you have to, but it helps you jump higher to hold it. And when you hold the jump button, when there's the drop dash, you do the drop dash. So you hold the button, and then you just drop out the air and just go speeding along, and I just can't be bothered with that. I've never really liked it. So if I could turn it off, I would. But so yeah, Amy's I'm probably not going to be using her little mallet thing, but it's good to see her there. Oh god. Yeah. So look at that. See, rubbish. But who cares? I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna bother restarting. I don't. I've got the Chaos Emeralds in a previous game playthrough. I don't have anything to prove. I don't care if I get them all. The rewards are somewhat minimal. I think there's 7 in this version, which makes it slightly better. But yeah, even though I got Sonic 1 after Sonic 2, like it was still impressive. I mean, even the Master System version was impressive back then, to be honest. But this was, even now you look at it, I'm like, there's so much detail. Everything's so crisp and fun and lively. And I did a lot of research into Sonic for my film studies PhD, so I know they did like loads and loads of work to make sure it was their blockbuster game, and it's well known that that's the case. And you can see that, like, everything is there, and it has to be. It's like, this is the Mega Drive, this is blast processing, this is what's new and hip and cool. But it is. I do agree that, like, the game, I think I described it the other day as, as whiplash, from going from the super high speed adventure of Green Hill Zone to hitting this wall in Marble Zone where everything is so slow. And if you look at all the zones in the first Sonic and add them together, it's much more a traditional platformer in a lot of ways. It's like six zones where you can go fast and 6 where you have to go a bit slower, kind of. But I think that's kind of maybe playing it a bit safe on Sega's part in a way, because they're kind of innovating and everything, and I don't know, like, think about what the game would be like if every zone was super fast. Like, would it be like Sonic Advance 2 where it's too much? There's no real skill involved in that, especially back then. You're setting the blueprint, and I don't mind it being slower. It's just, I mean, honestly, I do prefer Labyrinth Zone to Marble Zone, which is weird to say, just because it's slow and it's annoying and everything, but it's just, there's a bit more to it than this finicky platforming that's here, and I don't know, it's just a lot of whiplash. And the Master System version kind of has the opposite, because the second stage is Bridge Zone, which is kind of a little bit too similar to Green Hill, visually anyway. So I do think Marble is better in that respect, but 16-bit Sonic is missing Jungle Zone, and I loved Jungle Zone on Master System. I feel like that would have been much better, I think, as the second stage. I'm not sure how it would have worked in 16-bit, but I'm not a game developer. I don't have to think about stuff like that. So we're back in 92, 93. I've got Sonic on the Master System. I'm getting Sonic the Comic, the UK Sonic magazine, which I was eventually able to collect. It came out fortnightly. It started at 99p. I think it ended at about £1.20. So that's £2 a week at the time. £2 every 2 weeks, so £4 a month. Even I can do that maths. And even then, I was lucky to get it, and we didn't get a subscription to it until about issue 8. So it took me a while to get to that point. But when I say, like, we didn't have much money back then, things were tough, it's true. That's what it was like, where it's like, £1, £2 a month. That even back then, that could go quite far, or it was not taken lightly, especially as it kept getting more and more. But and then that transitioned into Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, like, the first cartoon, which I used to watch. I believe it was Sunday mornings on Channel 4. And I really liked that. I loved Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog primarily because it was Sonic. It was Sonic and Tails, and as he was called over here then, Dr. Robotnik, and kind of Badniks you recognise, but not really. I think even then I knew this is very different, but you didn't care is the thing as a kid. Like, people care now, and I know, like, I care a bit, but you just didn't care. You were just like, oh my god, Sonic is a cartoon. Like, you just watched it, you just enjoyed it. You know, people who say they didn't, sure. If you say so, you didn't enjoy it, you always thought it was crap, that's fine. If that's true, then why were you watching it? Watch something else. There was loads on back then to watch. So I was all into that, and I remember just one... I used to tape them as well. Back I used to tape them on VHS tapes, because couldn't afford to buy the VHS tapes. And I just remember one morning waking up, I think I'd slept in, I don't know, and watch Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and similar to the Green Hill to Marble Zone whiplash, having this extreme whiplash to find the whole show had completely changed, and now Sonic is like a freedom fighter in a post-apocalyptic world, and you know, Robotnik is semi-cybernetic and everything is dour and dark and all this, and I was so confused. I was like, what have I missed here? What's happened? And then eventually, you bastard! I knew I would do that. Distracted talking about Sonic. Yeah, they just sort of kind of went with it and was like, oh, okay, this is what it is now. This is Sonic now, I guess. And that was, of course, Sonic Sat AM. And then exactly the same thing happened with that, where we had that fantastic, you know, final episode. And then the next time I watched it, Sonic suddenly has a brother and a sister and is a prince and is in a rock band, and it's all changed again. And I think by that point, I did like Sonic Underground as a kid, but by that point, I was getting a bit older, and just not falling out of cartoons. I still watched them, but there were other things I was kind of really into, and I don't know what, 99 I think Sonic Underground was, so yeah, I was definitely a lot older by then, so it wasn't as big a priority, so I didn't watch as much of it. I've since watched all of it, and it's, you know, it just feels unnecessary is the thing, is they kept so much of Sat AM. You know, they kept so much of Sat AM that it was just like, well, why not just at least make it continue on? But I think the reason, I know, well, there's like a whole making of and everything, but like I think the main reason why they wouldn't do that is because I guess the idea of Sonic without like Robotnik at the time was probably like inconceivable, and like what would people think? Like the status quo, man. Got to think about the status quo. Even though you know you could have just written it in, and I believe the plans for Sat AM season 3 involved bringing Robotnik back and with the Void or whatever, and it's like, yeah. And every time I watch Sonic Underground, I just think you could have done exactly the same thing if it had just been an official, a proper sequel to Sat AM, and instead of Manic and Sonia, it was Amy and Tails, or even Knuckles, but obviously Knuckles comes into it later. I'm just hitting everything. You know, just Tails and Amy, or Sally, Sonic, Sally and Tails. If you don't want to bring Amy in, like, you could have just done that, and if you wanted them to be in a rock band, sure, you just go, oh, it's been 5 years since Robotnik apparently died, and ever since then Sonic is now in a rock band. That why not? Sure, why not? And then it could all go to hell. Like, you could do Noggus and Robotnik teaming up, whatever. Yeah, just weird to decision making at the time. But again, it was Sonic, so I just kind of consumed it, and I was reading the comics and everything, and just playing all the games. I remember it was a big deal just getting Sonic Spinball for Mega Drive, and even now, like, I don't really like Sonic Spinball, but there's something about the game the game case. I sometimes look at it on the shelf. It's just something about it that really sticks. I don't know, just really like looking at it. I don't know why. It's hard to describe it in a way where I don't get that feeling with Sonic 1, Sonic 2, even Sonic 3, like my favourite, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But Sonic Spinball, man, I will look at that all day and just be like, wow, this is such a great case. And I mean, the plan originally was, when I did my first failed recording for this, was I'll do Amy and Sonic the Hedgehog, and then maybe I will do playthroughs of the other games as well and share some memories of them as different characters. Like, I haven't done Sonic CD as Knuckles, for example, and I've done Sonic 3 as everybody, but I haven't done Sonic 3 as Amy, so maybe. We'll see. I mean, I'm only doing this today because I've got time. Like, tomorrow, I'm hoping to start streaming Final Fantasy VI. So I was like, well, I've got some free time tonight. Don't want to start that tonight. I'll do this. I'll try and do this again. Oh, I'm stuck. And literally, there we go. Freedom. Right. Never really liked the pinball levels. I know everybody. It's probably why I don't really like Sonic Spinball that much, but everyone raved over Casino Night Zone, which is like it's just better than, it's a better zone than this zone. I'd rather play Casino Night, Casino Night than Spring Yard. I'd also rather play Carnival Night Zone than Spring Yard Zone. There's too many. I thought that was a pit. Yeah, I've never really liked Spring Yard Zone, even though it is faster than Marble. But the constant bouncing and the flippers and all that kind of gets on my tits after a while, and I just can't be bothered with it. But I do get why people like them. You know, it's fun, it's fast, and all this sort of stuff, which is great. But it just kind of annoys me, and it's become a trope for Sonic that just has never gone away. It's a bit like Mario. Like, every time you play a Mario game, there's always, you know, the mushroom level, there's always the ice level, there's always a fire level, there's always kind of a mechanical level. There's tropes every time, and Kirby is the same. I recently played through loads of the Kirby games, and Mega Man as well, and it's just kind of like, oh, it's not that they're not good, it's just kind of like they're all the same game, but with better graphics or with slightly different mechanics or whatever. And that is kind of true with Sonic as well. But I do feel like it's not quite the same thing, because I think every Sonic game does try to do something a little different, even though a lot of the tropes are still there. So you always have that Green Hill style first zone, if not Green Hill entirely, which, yeah, I do agree. Just annoying that they just constantly bring Green Hill Zone back. You know, especially when Emerald Hill is so much better as a zone. So you always have that. You always have kind of the pinball level. There's often a city level now. There's often some, usually, oh god, oof, nearly. Usually like ice as well and fire, and yeah, like you expect elemental zones and levels in almost every platformer. It's a thing, and you're never going to get away from it. Like, I expect them to be there to be tropes, and you can see in Sonic 1, you know, them setting not purposely, but it clearly inspired. You know, it's like, well, this is what Sonic is. We can make this faster, and we can make this graphically superior. But in terms of gameplay, no, like gimmicks and stuff, we've got to kind of stick to this formula, and that hasn't massively changed. Even with like Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Adventure, which used more real-world locations and cityscapes and things like that, you still get those tropes. Oh, you son of a bitch! And you can't fault Sonic for that, and because it's just what's going to happen. And I kind of prefer. It's very it's very difficult, because it's like I'm complaining about tropes, but then I wouldn't want to see it completely different game after game, like Mario Brothers 1 to Mario Brothers 2. Obviously, I'm not even going to say that wasn't the real Mario Brothers 2. I really don't care. Everybody knows the story behind that, so let's just shut up about it, please. But Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, like Zelda 2 is like just a massive brick wall of a difference, and whereas Sonic 2 is like, hey, remember the first game? Well, here it is, but it's faster and it's bigger and it's better. And then Sonic 3 is like, well, remember the first game? And remember how the second game was faster and bigger and better? Well, this game is even faster and even better, and it's even bigger. So big it has to be 2 games. And I think that's kind of what sets Sonic apart a bit, is that you can see that kind of improvement in a way that I just don't always see in other games, because Mario tends to just kind of get new power-ups between games, and Mega Man, he does get new power-ups, but many of them are exactly the same as the previous ones, whereas Sonic, obviously the biggest improvement of his gameplay was, as I just did, the spin dash. Literally changed the game and made it 100 times better to play. And it is kind of weird playing Sonic 1 with the spin dash, but it is also better with it there. Like it speeds everything up, but not to the point where the platforming is diminished. Like you still have to do all this precision platforming. It's still all there. It's just, you get to go faster instead of like looking like a chump when you're trying to go up hills and stuff. And then, but aside from that, Sonic 2 doesn't introduce really any new power-ups except for Tails, if you want to include him as a power-up, and he is not Tails. He's just Sonic, but a fox, because he can't fly in Sonic 2. So it's the same game, but it's just improved, and those improvements are what really set the standard for 2D Sonic going forward, to the point where Sonic 2 just kind of overlaps Sonic 1. It's like nobody talks about Street Fighter. You always talk about Street Fighter 2. It's that kind of level of betterness, for lack of a better word. But then Sonic 1 Genesis, Mega Drive, whatever, 16-bit Sonic 1 is so good it eclipses the Master System version, and that's really a shame, because there's a lot of cool stuff in the Master System version, and it's very different. It's, I'm sitting here moaning about the platforming in Marble Zone, but Sonic 1 8-bit is a lot more of a platformer, because the game's so much slower. It doesn't even have loops in it. They didn't come until Sonic 2, I believe. Might have been Sonic Chaos. So you're talking like platformers, you want Sonic 8-bit. But I would have loved to have seen in the mobile version of Sonic 1 and in this version, like they did with Sonic 2, I would have loved to have seen in the mobile version of Sonic 1 and in this version, like they did with Sonic 2, where they added in Hidden Palace Zone, and in my opinion they also should have put in Wood Zone. I would have loved to have seen something like that in here, where like there's a secret kind of level exit that takes you to a 16-bit version of Bridge Zone, or a 16-bit version of Jungle Zone, or something like that. I think that would have been really cool to see. Maybe not a completely true to life, but that's if you're going to remake the game, this is your opportunity to do something like that and to bring those games to life. And it would have been cool in this version where they're doing these challenges and stuff, kind of, to include a challenge mode where the Chaos Emeralds are hidden in the zones like they are in Sonic 1 8-bit. Just something like that would have been really cool, just to kind of mix it up a bit, because I really like those parts of it. It does kind of diminish the special zones a bit in Sonic 1 8-bit, because you go in them to get continues and that's it. You don't go in them for Chaos Emeralds. But when crap. If I remember right, I have not hit a lamppost, yeah? Yep, that happened to me before. What a dick. Yeah, I mean, when I used to play it on the 8-bit, I remember my friend came around one time and he couldn't beat, you know, the first or second Robotnik boss. So I said, "Oh, I'll beat the boss for you, and then you can keep playing." And that was the first time I didn't beat the game, but it's the first time I got to the last zone, like the last area. I don't remember if I reached the last boss, but that's the first time I ever got that far in the game. And people always ask, like, what's the first game you remember beating? And I do not remember, but I would say it is most likely to be Sonic 1 8-bit. I would say that's very fair. A very fair guess on my part. I don't know how people remember that stuff. I guess I should have paid more attention as a kid to remember for future. For like, oh well, I better remember this when I'm 6 years old, 8 years old, whatever, and you know, in 32 years, someone on social media is going to ask me, what was the first game you ever played? What was the first console you ever had? What was the first game you ever beat? And I'm going to have to be like, oh, I don't remember. I don't know. I think it was Sonic 1. But I think it was. If it wasn't Sonic 1 8-bit, it was probably Sonic 1 16-bit. I don't remember. Mainly because with Sonic 1 16-bit, of course, on the Mega Drive, you would be playing with the cheats, either the debug mode or the level select. Well, I say you would be, I would be. So it's very likely that's the first game I would have beaten. And you know, you can say, well, if you've used the cheats, that doesn't count. And technically that's true, but more accurately, it's not true, because yeah, you've cheated, but you've still beaten the game. Like you've beaten the last boss, you've seen the end credits. The game has been beaten, it is over. So yeah, I would say that does count. So it was likely that. I know, oddly enough though, I remember it was a big deal beating Sonic 2, to the point where the first time I beat it, I got in a lot of trouble because I beat it right as it was time for dinner, and my mum was like, "It's dinner, you know, it's dinner time," and I was like, "I can't come just yet. Like, you know, I want to see the end of the game. You know, I've just beaten the game." And it was like, "No, you go for dinner, or you know, you're gonna get in lots of trouble." So it kind of just barely saw the ending, but I would argue the ending of Sonic 2 is actually more disappointing than the ending for Sonic 1, because I just really hated I liked the fun little scenes of Tails like coming to rescue Sonic and everything, but that's kind of it. It just kind of ends. Whereas Sonic 1, you get that cool scene of, you know, the flowers coming out and everything, and obviously in Sonic 2 you get Super Sonic, but that doesn't really factor into the ending in the same way it would in Sonic 3 with like a bonus zone and everything. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, you know, you can play as Super Sonic if you manage to get all the Chaos Emeralds before the final zone, which is, you know, you can easily, but you can do that in Emerald Hill, but I rarely do. Um, so, and yeah, Sonic 1, there's a lot less tangible a reward at the end because you don't get anything for getting all the Chaos Emeralds except the good ending. But for some reason, I find that ending just a little bit more satisfying than Sonic 2's ending. I think possibly because, I don't know, Sonic 1's harder in a way. It's slower. I don't know. It feels harder because the original version is slower. I was going to say the special stages are harder, but Sonic 2 special stages aren't exactly easy, especially near the end. But for some reason, I do find it more difficult. Maybe it's because that original version is slower, and yet, you know, I'm playing it now, and obviously, I'm getting hit. I think I've died twice as well, which is, I don't think I've ever beaten Sonic 1 without dying at least once. But again, I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to do like a no death run. If you could do that, then cool, do it. Well done. Props to you. Yeah, I have found that. I do find it harder. It's like, but ironically, I found, well, not really ironically, but Sonic 2 on Master System it's so much harder than Sonic 1 on Master System. Mainly because you've got that damn hang glider thing in Act 2, and finding the Chaos Emeralds is so much harder. But when I was a kid, I had Sonic 2 on Master System, and there's a lovely trick for the physical hardware version, where if you have a second controller, you can, you know, press some buttons, and you activate I believe it's a level select, and it makes the game so much easier to beat. And but unfortunately, that code, I don't believe it works on the Game Gear version, and it doesn't work on the Virtual Console version, if I remember right, because there isn't really a second controller. I'm not sure if it does work. I don't think it did. So that code is kind of lost, if I'm right, which makes it again really hard to beat the game. And obviously playing the Game Gear version of Sonic 2 is harder as well because the screen size is smaller, and that messes you up on certain bosses. Oh, I missed the pole. And certain parts of the game, which is another reason why the Master System version is, and always has been, superior. Whoop. Is there, is that the most dreadful sound of your childhood? The drowning? I mean, as a kid, I don't remember being that. I think I remember being like, oh, drowning, oh, it's coming. But I was never like, oh my god, this is awful, this is traumatizing. Mainly because, again, a lot of the time you're playing Sonic 1 with the level select, with the debug mode on, so it's not a big deal. Like if you drown, I'm not really do with a ring. I'm very conscious that I don't have any rings. It's just kind of like, oh well, if I drown, it doesn't really matter because I've got debug mode. I've got whatever level select or whatever. But yeah, this is a thing. This is an area where the Master System version is better than the Mega Drive version. This stupid boss chase thing, like, okay, cool, you're chasing him, it's like, ooh, it's testing your platforming, and in this case it's testing my ability to stay alive, because I ain't got any rings, and the bed. But it's not a boss, it's just kind of like it's just such a waste of, like, it just feels really cheap. If I'm right, I can't get up there without getting on them, so that's a problem. It just feels really cheap compared to the Master System version, where there is a boss. Not a great boss. It's kind of annoying, but there's a boss. It's not cheap. But with that chase, oh, damn it. It's yeah, I've never liked it. Like it's cool. It's like it's unique and everything, but and it does test you. I mean, like, you know, I obviously failed at it just then, but it's not fighting a boss, and I like fighting bosses. You know, I want to bash him about, and it's like it just screams. We ran out of time. We didn't have time to do something here. We had to do this, and that's such a shame because it's so unfulfilling to get to the end of Labyrinth and to not have a proper boss battle in the game. I find it's just kind of like, ugh, like, especially considering it would have been so easy to just flood a cavern, have Robotnik, have Eggman like hovering backwards and forwards, maybe some spikes, whatever. Like, how hard is that? Like, is that really harder than programming this? Like, just some jumping and stuff? I mean, probably. I'm not a designer, but I know with Sonic 1, the development is all over the place anyway. It's like, oh well, you know, we were developing this part of the game, we're developing that part of the game, and something's got to go, something's got to give. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we did Green Hill Zone and then we did this and then we did this. Although they did do Green Hill first, but it's just kind of, yeah, it's just annoying. Like, I feel nothing there because it's like, oh, I didn't beat him to rescue them. I just kind of did whatever. Here we go. Now we're back onto stuff. This is one of my favourite levels in Sonic 1. It's like, we're finally back to being fast, and it's fun. It's like a nice cityscape. The only thing I don't like about this zone is, well, there's quite a few things actually. I don't like the background. I think the background's really plain and boring. I think if it had been a city background, it would have been a lot better. And I'm not really a massive fan of the foreground either. It's also very, very basic. There's clearly ideas here that were developed more in Stardust Speedway in Sonic CD. That's basically this zone, what this zone should have been, I think. This zone kind of feels very cheap in a way, like kind of slapped together in a way. Like, oh, we'll just kind of do this, but in terms of gameplay, it's like, it's so refreshing to just be finished with all that, you know, damn platforming and messing about, jumping about between stuff, and just being able to run a bit. And there's some fun gimmicks here. Like, the windmills are weird, I think. I've never really liked these windmill things. I don't think they really do much for the zone. They're not really implemented that well. But I like the foreground, the girders in the foreground, and the dropping platforms and everything. I think that's great, and I always feel like, here we go, the game's back, we're back. But I don't know if I've seen people sort of criticising the pacing of the game, but I do think it makes sense to go like speedy zone, slower zone, speedy zone, slower zone. I think that does help to kind of break things up a bit, so it's not all fast-paced all the time, which is, I think that's important for the variety. Like, I wouldn't want to go Marble Zone to Starlight Zone. I don't think narratively that makes a lot of sense when you consider it's going from, like, you know, nature to pollution and all that jazz. And I don't think going straight to Spring Yard Zone really is a good idea either. I just hate Marble Zone. I just wanted to see a better idea there, is what I'm kind of saying. Is, yeah, do a platforming level, but do a better one. You know? Do Jungle Zone, it's better. Yep, done it. Do Jungle Zone, it's better. You know? I think we'll settle for 3. I'll be lucky if we hit 4. I'll be happy. But 3's good. 3's half in the original game. Why not? Who cares? What does it matter? You know. And then, yeah, like, being out in the city here with Starlight is really, it's always been a big one for me. I do like it, but yeah, there's actually a lot of negatives for me. I don't like the Orbinauts. They kind of annoy me. In this zone, the little bombs kind of annoy me but it's good. The loops are back. You've got all these cool foreground, background elements where you're running in front and behind stuff, which is great. It works for what it is, but it does feel kind of basic at times. It's not what you would, all the others, even Labyrinth, even Marble, stand out a lot more than this zone, but the gameplay is what's making it so much more enjoyable for me right now, even though, yeah, you're kicking my ass and everything, but... And these little bloody seesaw things, kind of, they are annoying, but they're fine. So yeah, I've always thought everything in the game is very tight. There's no real massive glitches. You do get some in the later games. There were a bit. Obviously, they had the spike, the infamous spike glitch, but it's gone. It's not there anymore. And honestly, you don't really get it that often. There's a couple of times where you can have a bad jump and you'll have the spike glitch, but generally you can easily kind of avoid it. It's not something that really comes up that often, because strangely enough, spikes aren't that prominent in Sonic 1. Spikes and pits and stuff, which is surprising considering how some later Sonic games just rely on them so much that it's kind of criminal in a way. It's just nothing but spike pits a lot of the time in some of those games. And nothing but bottomless pits as well. No, it's fine. But here it's all very sparing, really. I don't think there's really any bottomless pits until this zone. I could be wrong. Depends which paths you take, I guess, in other zones. This bit here, that super fast bit there, you can see that is very much taken to the nth degree in Sonic CD. So I think this zone is offering a lot to future games. And I've always loved the invincibility effect in this game. I love how many stars there are and how they follow you around. And it bugs me that... not dead, thank God. It bugs me that they kind of nerfed it in Sonic 2, and that's been the standard going forward, is just, oh yeah, you sparkle a bit, but the loads of stars, and there we go, last. I was expecting to die, and it took forever. Just loads of stars, they follow you around. It looks great. I think I'm glad that carried over in Sonic CD, and the invincibility music in Sonic CD is one of my favourite invincibility musics as well. Which, if I play Sonic CD, obviously I'll talk more about Sonic CD then, if I play it. But I loved the effect in this game, and it did really annoy me that even Sonic 3's invincibility isn't as impressive as it is in the first one. The first one, it's like, wow, it's so good. And then they just kind of went, yeah, you sparkle a bit, sure, whatever. And yeah, kind of disappointing. It's odd that they nerfed it so much. But it is what it is, I guess. I've never really seen an explanation for that. Maybe it was just kind of too... I don't know, it doesn't seem to slow the game down that much, but I guess it probably does, depending on what's on the screen. Like, if you've got the invincibility and there's a whole bunch of badniks and whatnot all happening at once, I think that there is a bit of slowdown, but again, it's quite rare. I think slowdown in general in this game is quite rare. It's not, compared to lots of games, but definitely it's just not really a thing. And we're on the subject of crap bosses. Not a big fan of this one either. This whole seesaw thing is kind of stupid. Trying to think. It's a bit like there's the Jungle Zone boss in Sonic 8-bit is kind of this similar sort of thing where you're kind of in a curvy bit and you've got to try and like hit Eggman as he's going past and stuff, and yeah, I don't know, I think it's funny because I do recognise that these seesaws are in the zone, But if you were to say to me, hey, what's Spring Yard see, I don't even know the name of the zone. What's Starlight Zone known for? I would say the fans, not these seesaws. So it's like maybe they could have done something better with the fans or something rather than the seesaws, or both. I mean, I can't think what, but it's just kind of, yeah, a little bit crap. And I was going to say the Spring Yard Zone with one with the spike on the bottom, that's not massively great either, honestly. But here we go, Scrap Brain. So Scrap Brain Zone is definitely the hardest zone, and it should be. It's the final zone. I do like it, but again, not a big fan of that city background. It's very kind of basic, but the foreground and all these parts are much better. I do have to say though, when you're talking like the differences between 8-bit Sonic and 16-bit Sonic, the main way 8-bit Sonic wins is because it has another exclusive zone, which is Skybase Zone, which is a fantastic zone. It's just fantastic soundtrack, great gimmick. The first one's got the lightning gimmick, the second zone is the blimp. Just amazing, such a great zone, and I wish it had been in 16-bit Sonic as well. It was so good, and they've kind of referenced it in other games. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific example, but I think it's come up. And there is Scrap Brain Zone in 8-bit Sonic as well. The gimmick there is more about teleporters, and I know with that particular version, that's the one that's hardest for me to remember where the Chaos Emerald is. In this version, you don't have to worry about that, but there are a lot of tricks and traps here which make it obviously difficult. But I love it how it's the culmination of that environmentalist theme. We've gone from completely green areas to industrial pollution and mechanical hell and all that, which again it's kind of the theme we see in lots of Sonic games. That's usually where we end up, or in some variation of that. But I know with Scrap Brain Zone, I feel like it's got a lot of really great atmosphere where it's like, things are getting tough because of the music. It's very haunting. Love that teleporter gimmick that's happening here. Not a big fan of these, but that's fine. And those flames can go to hell as well. The Buzzsaws are alright. I do like the teleporters. You see how much of this is kind of evoked in Metropolis Zone. If there's one thing, yeah, the background not great. Act 2 is a bit better because we're not seeing that generic city. I do like the music, but I think I can kind of hear the looping more in this zone compared to others. I don't know. It's fine. I just think with Sonic, it is tricky because they put so much effort into Green Hill Zone, and that's kind of the zone you play the most normally. So it does feel sometimes that a lot of the other zones missed out, but I think Scrap Brain definitely picks up the slack that some of the others had. I think I would have liked to see a few more gimmicks from other zones recycled here, because that's usually what happens in those final areas. It's like, hey, here's everything you've conquered before, now in more difficult remixed ways and stuff. But I think not doing that definitely makes it unique. Because, yeah, we just saw the bombs are back, and these swinging mace things, I think they're in Labyrinth, kind of. Yeah, they were. But everything is very much like, oh, this is the zone you're in now. And I like that about Sonic, is they don't really do in this game a lot of that kind of let's recycle previous gimmicks, so every zone feels very similar. Which is what I would be saying if it weren't for Scrap Brain Zone Act 3, which we're about to get to here, which for absolutely no reason, is bloody Labyrinth Zone again. And again, I think obviously I know why it's like a time thing, but I just find this so annoying that they do it, because it's like you're doing your final zone, you're saying this is the end, this is what you've been building up to, this zone is what's going to test you, and the way we're going to test you is making you replay, you know, a gimmick from a previous zone. Was I supposed to go ahead of that? I think I was. Whatever. So what you're saying here is Scrap Brain Zone is not the hardest zone. Labyrinth Zone is, because that's that's the gimmick we're going to go back to now, completely like losing everything Scrap Brain had, and literally like, oh, there's a bit of a palette difference, like, oh, big deal, like. It's just annoying. It's like, oh, I've done all this. Like, I've done this zone. You're making me do it again. Like, that's really frustrating. And it smacks of like, we ran out of time. When again, you could have easily done something else, where you could have had, like, at least change the background tiles here. You know, at least make it mechanical, what I'm looking at, rather than it all being exactly Labyrinth Zone again, but with a bit of a grey hue. You know, all the water's a different colour. Like, just no, you know. And again, when you're considering that Sonic 8-bit had Sky-Base Zone, and that was fantastic, and they didn't have to recycle anything, and that game has, you know, and Scrap Brain Zone there ends and anticlimactically. That's where your anticlimactic Eggman fight is, because it's not even a chase. You just jump to the teleporter and that's it. There is no boss. But even that is like, you know, it's 8-bit Sonic. I can kind of forgive it. It's not the same thing. But at 16-bit Sonic, it's just annoying to have to do this again. And maybe if it had been like, oh, we're going to flood it, but also this last bit is like a gauntlet, like a kind of a best of. Am I going to drown here? I think I am. Damn. Like kind of a, here's everything. You know, recycling loads of gimmicks. Maybe even putting them all underwater in some way. Like just kind of being like, okay, well, you've done this from Green Hill, now do it underwater. You've done this from Marble Zone, the lava's back, or something like that. But it's just Labyrinth Zone again. So, and again, it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but what you're telling me is Labyrinth Zone is the hardest zone in the game. And if that's true, then make it the final zone in the game then. You know? Like, it's just annoying. It's just frustrating to see, to have to deal with, and... Oh, shit. I think I may drown again. Lots of drowning today, apparently. Yep. Damn it. It's because I'm ranting about Labyrinth Zone. I mean, you do have that a bit in Sonic 2 with Metropolis Zone having 3 zones, which is a similar kind of annoyance for me, because it's like, again, because it's like, oh, this zone's got 3 zones. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm sure it is the hardest zone in the game. That I guess that makes sense. But it's weird when all the other zones have 2. I mean, yeah, I know Sky Chase Zone doesn't. It only has 1, but that Sky Chase Zone, that's like a little bonus area sort of thing. It's just, it is weird to play the game and to get to that point and be like, oh, it's 3 zones now. Fuck you, you know. It's like, and here it's like, oh yeah, it's Scrap Brain Zone, you're at the end. No, please do Labyrinth Zone again. That's 4 zones. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I just think you could have just done anything. You could have done, kind of do like a chemical plant thing before chemical plant, obviously. Like have the zone flood, but it's pollution. It's polluted water, which I think is what we're going for here. I think I've read before this is supposed to be the sewers, which it's bullshit. No, it isn't. It's not the sewers. It's stupid. Because the sewers would have green water, not purple. So, yeah, it's like they just should have put more effort into these tiles. It could have been a mixture of Labyrinth and Scrap Brain, and yeah, it just is not. It's not what I want to see. It's not what I want to be doing. I wanted to be doing. Am I going to try it again? Fucking hell. Jesus. RNG on the bubbles is killing me today. Let's go back and get this. Get some rings. And it might just be me. Maybe it's just me that thinks that. Maybe everyone else loves that we get Labyrinth Zone again. Because it's like, ooh, it's such a great zone. But, ooh. No. I'm just never, ever going to be happy about it. And I don't think it would have been a good idea for for Origins to correct that with something else, because I don't really know what they could possibly have put here instead of it. It would definitely have not been the game if they'd done that. Oh, Jesus. See, what bugs me about this is that this wouldn't be happening if Scrap Brain Zone Act 3 was a real Act 3 and not Labyrinth again. Which is kind of my logic with everything there. It's like, I shouldn't be doing this. It shouldn't be a thing. But it is. You know, it's what it is. What do you do? Nothing. I mean, even there we go. We're getting somewhere now. Even Carnival Night Zone kind of does that, where it flash floods and the Act 2 is flooded. But even that is like... nice. It's better. There we go. We've made it. And if, you know, if that was annoying, this is even worse. This final zone, it's got to be the worst final zone in 16-bit Sonic, in almost every 16-bit Sonic. It's just, it's boring, especially the way I do it. I just do this, stay over in this right corner, jump through the gaps when they appear, and just hit one of these two. Just wait for him to pop up near me, and that's it. Like, I think there are better ways to play it. I've literally never played it any other way. I always beat this boss this way. Which, you know, so maybe it's a me thing, but my god, is this boring. This is nothing. Like, this is your final boss, just trying to crush me. Like, that's crap. You compare it to the 8-bit Sonic boss, which is kind of a similar vibe, but, you know, he's in his glass container. There's, you know, shit flying everywhere. It's not easy. And again, you've got no rings, which is fine. We're getting some good luck here on it. That does make it a bit tougher, but it's just nothing. This nowadays, and I think it was Sonic Mania did it. This would be like the first stage of the final boss, and I do think that the things would have been better if, when you had all 6 Chaos Emeralds in the original game, you beat this boss and then there was something else afterwards, some other boss to fight, because this is crap. It's just nothing. It's just a lot of jumping over shit and then hitting him, and then he's gone. And it's like, that's it, is it? That's the best you can do. Let's knock him out. Bash him. There we go. So yeah, a bit of a disappointing end in many ways in that respect, because you've got a repeated zone and then a really mediocre final boss. But this end sequence here, I find this, just using the sprites and seeing all this, just somehow much more impressive than what we get in Sonic 2. And I think that says a lot, because they use that similar style for Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Obviously not Sonic CD, you've got the anime there, but Sonic 3 doesn't use like the little pictures like Sonic 2 did. It uses the sprites and everything again, so I think that says a lot there in many ways. I've always liked this kind of these credits where the game, like, you see someone playing. I think it would have been really cool if it was showing you your gameplay, may not have been possible, I guess, at the time. But I know Rocket Knight has like a weird, like sort of code, a feature where you play the first stage and the game kind of records your gameplay, and then when you quit and it shows the demo screen, it's showing what you did. I think that would have been kind of cool if it was showing like your gameplay here. But I mean, it doesn't really matter at all. Like, but it's a cool like recap of everything that happened. So yeah, overall, I do like the first Sonic, but it's not one. If I was going to play any classic Sonic, it's going to be Sonic 3 and Knuckles, maybe Sonic 2. Very rarely play Sonic 1. It's fine. It's just the other games are better, and because I had Sonic 1 Master System, so my nostalgia for 16-bit Sonic is for Sonic 2, not Sonic 1. And Sonic 2 is better in a lot of ways, but this Origin collection, it got all that hate at the start of because it was so bare bones, and it definitely deserved that hate. But I'm glad we got the Plus version. I'm glad they added Amy into Sonic 1 and a few extra things. Could have put some extra achievements in, that would have been nice, but the Game Gear games were good. Master System would have been better, but it is what it is. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I was only missing 2. What do you want? So there was only 6 in the end, so could have been. And honestly, I like that sprite animation, so maybe I wanted to see it, and like I say, I wasn't trying to do it any other way. And the best part of the Sonic Origins collection, of course, is we have these really cool animated cutscenes, which Sega really should do, like a whole cartoon in this style. I know they did some shorts, but and the Sonic Mania Adventures cartoon clips, they should have been included on this disc as well. That would have been nice, but yeah, good playthrough, good game, classic, you might say.